Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Business Barbershop Podcast. I am Chris,
I'm Keane.
and we are here today to talk about productivity hacks. We're going to start with setting deadlines. Keen's going to dive into this first. Before we get to that, if you guys like the show, um, uh, hit the like button, subscribe, follow. By the way, we have never done this, but we're going to do this from now on because why not? If you need accounting help and you're a business owner, go to bigbird.accounting.com because we can help you. And
Mm,
Keen, where can people go if they want to use you for some real estate
yeah,
stuff?
KeenLoans.com. It's my official website for
Yeah,
mortgages.
yeah.
Yeah,
Or if you have investing questions, call him. He's gonna make you pay for the help. But call him for that too. Okay.
yeah,
All right. Cool. Or go to the website keenloans.com. Right.
yep, yep.
Okay. Sweet. We're gonna start doing that I don't know why we haven't been doing that forever. Okay. Let's see. Productivity. So you were just diving into something before I made you stop, and we hit the record button. So
Yeah,
take it away. What's up?
yeah. Obviously, I think that maximize productivity, delegating. There's a recent book, Buy Back Your Time, right? There's a lot bunch of stuff that's out there. Getting Things Done by David, what's his name? Um,
Getting things
David
done.
Allen.
Ogilvy.
Dave,
Oh, David
no,
Allen.
David Allen. Yeah, Getting Things Done. Um, but one of the things that I've always found really helpful is setting self-imposed non-negotiable deadlines. It works extremely well when it comes to things like events. Um, Scary, but like as an example, I'll think of something that hey, this event would draw a lot of marketing attention, right? But we got like a marketing event, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously the scale has a lot to do with how much planning is needed, but sometimes I'll just know the topic. I'll have the idea and marketing concept of what we're doing. And everyone always, this is an example of, people always wanted to go into the lab, make things perfect, and then start doing it. Um,
Yep.
I will actually set up I will do I'll come up with the things I want to talk about, the marketing and the dates, and I advertise both just far enough that I have enough time to get it done. And then all the bullshit reasons why I couldn't get it done by that amount of time get washed out because I already marketed it out first, and then I got to get it done by that time.
Yep.
And so this week I have the hard pressure of closing that circle because the class is in 2 days.
Nice.
You know,
Yeah, it's nice when you have already done the thing, or have the background to create the stuff. But you're right. I've done that before with events. I have done it before with like promising. This is in the coaching space mostly, but promising deals. Like promising there's going to be a special, so I have to write like the marketing emails, and I have to like put together the links and just do all that kind of stuff.
mm-hmm.
When it comes to, I do it in my regular business, but it's hard because you're not necessarily setting. You can change the deadline, you know, if we're being honest.
Right.
So I try to do. Excuse me. I will sometimes tell my team what we're gonna do, or tell my team what the plan is. It's still soft because, like, I'm the boss, right? So I can change my mind. And sometimes things change. Like, I'm gonna hire somebody by this time.
Right.
Well, sometimes things don't always go exactly the way that you think they're going to go, which lead to that thing being done. But if you are not finding some way to impose some self discipline and get something done, you're going to be struggle on the struggle bus, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And you can create this in some ways by telling everybody what you're going to do by a certain
Self-imposed
time,
carrots and sticks.
for sure.
Like,
Lots
like here's an
of
example of it could be: you could write a check to your arch nemesis's like favorite charity and give it to your assistant and be like, if this isn't done by this date, don't ask, go send it.
Yep,
I mean, it's just
for
an
sure.
example, right? If you have an arch nemesis, I'm just using it as an example, right? A friend of me or whatever, so
You know
something to
what?
motivate you.
Keen, you could just write the check to one of your friends.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, me.
Right.
Anybody
Right.
that needs a frenemy, an arch nemesis that they want to send money to and tell them to cash the check if they don't do something by a certain time, Send it to
You're
me.
their guy.
Okay. Send it to me. I will cash that check.
Yeah,
It'll be
we're
great.
gonna call. Yeah, but the check won't be written to your name. It'll be written to uh, a, a, yeah, accountability deadline LLC.com.
Nice.
That's
Yeah,
your new
I can.
business. It's pretty
Yep,
simple. I
exactly.
keep you
Exactly.
accountable. Write me a check, and if you don't do it, I cash it.
Yep. That's right. Yep.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I will do that stuff. I will do it gets a little easier, I think, the more that you do it. Like it gets a little easier to take action and get stuff done. But there are days when you just don't want to do anything. I will use carrots more often than sticks for myself. Like
Like the
if I do
watch.
this watch, yep.
Yep.
If I do this, well, also even tinier than that. Sometimes it's just like if I do this, I'm gonna go get some Chipotle and I'm just gonna crush it and it's gonna be so delicious. Or then we'll do the I'll
I
do
love
this
that
thing
yours
and
is.
then
Is that your cheat meal, by the way? It's fully your cheat
yeah.
meal because for me, that's staying on track.
Yes, that's my cheat meal. With the big old burrito. The burrito is the
Mm,
cheat meal
I
part.
see.
It's the
I see.
tortilla that's the cheat part.
Got it.
But yeah, I'll do that type of stuff. I think the other, obviously when you are thinking about this stuff and working on it, the ability to get things done and to take action comes from looking at yourself and saying, am I serious about trying to do this thing? Like
Hmm.
I'm saying I want to do this thing. Is it really what I want to do? If it is, then I need to do these things. I must get started right now. If I'm not serious about it, then why am I messing around talking about it? Let it go.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? It kind of eventually it does sort of just fall down into that. What kind of life do you want? You need to do these things to get there. Do them,
That's right.
right? So the carrot and the stick are helpful sometimes. Like when it comes to creating content, for example, like today is my content day. Um, this one is easy to do, but like I'll record probably 10, at least 10, 12 videos today.
Hmm.
Sometimes that's hard to do, you know. Sometimes you're just not feeling it. And I will reward myself with like, I don't know, just like a whiskey or something.
Yeah.
Probably rewarding yourself with booze is probably not the best thing to do, but it gets me there
Right.
sometimes.
Right.
So, yep. What about you? What do you do? So self-imposed deadlines is one thing. What about you
I'm
probably have
more. I mean, I'm
yeah,
just being honest. I'm way more stick than carrot. You know.
really.
Yeah.
What are some sticks for you though? What are some sticks?
Well, I think that the event planning was just a good example of that, right? If I put it out there, like it's just really important to me that you know I execute and say what I say, and especially in a public setting. So I'm going to put out there that I'm going to teach this event. I got to do a great job. If I have a certain day and time, it's going to get done. There's no questions it will get done.
Yep. Yeah. But yeah, I'm the same. I've been talking about this accounting business and now I have to do it. You know,
Hmm.
there's just work that goes in when that happens.
Yep.
So,
Yep. A really obvious one, in my space is just going for like a property and closing on it because I have the ability to put a lot of properties in my name very quickly, very little cash because my experience and background and lenders' willingness to give me money.
yep.
So you have to be careful with that. But um, when you do put your name out there on that, those loans have expensive costs and they also have deadlines. And honoring those and getting out of them, it's you know what would happen if you don't, right?
Yeah.
You lose that, right? And you have personal liability and personal, um, um, you know, commitment to make those debts and to service them. And if you don't, then obviously things can start to tumble. So those have their own self-imposed deadlines, right?
Yeah. I think also too the sometimes the carrot can be just like actually getting the thing done, particularly if you don't want to do it, you know?
Hmm.
Like when it comes to, like for you, greatness tracker type of stuff, like making those calls every day,
Right.
doing those types of things, like you can give yourself something nice every day if you get it done. But after you do some things like that, it does feel really good just to have done it because it is
Yes.
hard.
Yep.
It is hard to do. Like I would say, let's say you're cold calling people or you're kind of cold outreaching people, sort of like doing some new networking, some new biz dev, I don't know that that's easy for anyone to do necessarily, right? Because you're going to get rejected a little
Yeah.
bit. People are not going to be nice to you sometimes, and that's just nobody likes that. But if you could do that,
Hmm.
if you can get your I don't know 10 outreaches a day or whatever your goal is, that feels good to have done it. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes
You know,
that's enough.
I heard a guy do a small talk. I think it was a TikTok video or one of those small whatever reels, whatever you want to call it. Um, and there was a he talked about how um, people's history of commitment of finishing hard things, that it creates these tracks in your brain about how you respond to those things. And so once you start to create a habit of quitting hard things early, it gets that much easier to keep doing that again and again. And then on the flip side, the more often you've done hard things and then keep seeing it through, the more likely it is that whenever you start a new hard thing, that you will continue to see things through. It just becomes part of who you are and the way you see things psychologically. I thought that was really interesting. And I'm thinking about like how many things am I doing right now that most people would consider hard? And I'm like, man, a lot.
Yeah.
I'm doing a lot of them, right? I don't think there's
Yep.
anything that we're doing that doesn't have, level a degree of difficulty. Um, and yeah, I don't, I, I can't think of one thing that I didn't start that hasn't, like I haven't just kept pushing through, right? I think the HOA management company was easily one of those. I'm like, what are we doing with this shit to make not that much money? But I just saw it like, well, the industry needs it. My own projects need it. I don't know one else to get it done. There's upside opportunity. It's not necessarily a fun business, but it's a necessity,
Yep.
And the fun part is doing the development work, and the management part, selling them off and having it being managed with something that's it's a necessity. It's a piece, right? It's almost like you can't say I want to open a great restaurant, have amazing atmosphere and amazing food, and then not hire proper cleaning staff. It's like, well, that's not necessarily the fun work, right? But you can't keep operating the fun parts that you like if you don't have that in it, because it's not going to be that beautiful restaurant. No one wants to go there if the place is a freaking mess, right?
For sure.
The bathrooms look terrible and smell terrible, right? Like you got it's like, to me it's like cleaning the bathroom of your restaurant that you were really passionate about opening, right?
Yeah, let's take that one step further because what's going to happen then at the beginning is what? You're not going to be able to find that cleaning company, and you know what you're going to have to do? Clean
Clean
it
it yourself.
yourself.
Yep.
And that's when it gets real hard because you could say like, "Oh, it's fine, it's good enough." It just depends on what kind of standard you want to have and
Or I don't like this shit, I'm quitting.
yeah, 100%.
Right?
For
Yeah.
sure. Yep. Yep, or just ignore the problem and act like it's not there and then, you know, rationalize your way out of it. You know,
Hmm.
I see a lot of that with people, where it's like, look, you should be creating some systems. You should take some time and work on your business. And they just can't find the time.
Yeah.
They're always too busy. It's like,
Without
all
using
right.
names, I can think of a handful of people in my life, just wonderful, talented, smart people, and the the ability to see things through when things get hard, um, is easily the number one thing that holds them back.
Yep. Yeah, it
Just
is a skill.
I don't
I
like the
think
way
it
it
is.
feels, I quit. And like, yeah,
Yep.
but what's hard part is that if you are that person who works things through, that means you're always working in the future, and that I think that's something that there's a balance to it, right? I'm
Yeah.
always working towards and excited for the future, right? But I do a lot of right now sacrifices for that vision of my future, right?
Yeah.
And people sometimes wonder whether or not I'm enjoying my now. I actually really enjoy that process too, but there's a balance to it that
Yep.
if people need more right now from me, that I sometimes don't give them enough right now because I am working so much for this future, right?
Yeah. A lot of
Long-term
times
success
people,
tends to come with like long-term actions that work towards long-term successes, but it also, like, how do you make sure that you're not only working towards the future?
yeah. Yeah. And people want to celebrate with you right now, you know? But what tends to happen for me is it's not that I don't want to celebrate, but what happens now for me, it feels like it's inevitable, you know? It's like I've been doing this thing every day for so long. where we are now was inevitable. I am not surprised that we are here, and I am I guess I'm happy that we've made it.
Hmm.
But I've already plotted out the next place that I want to go. You
Right.
know, and that makes it hard because it's not that I'm not happy, but it's sort of like the joy is not in like the milestone necessarily. You
Right.
know, like even the Rolex. I bought the Rolex. I don't even wear it. And it's not. I just bought that so I could basically tell my kids someday when they're like, "This is awesome." I'll say, "Yeah, that's the year I made my first million."
Yep.
And that's. But I don't. But I mean, I don't know. It's not like a. It's not like a. It's not like a thing. Like
Yeah.
I was happy when it happened, but really not. I didn't dwell on it too long because, like I said,
Yeah.
it's like felt like it was just It was going to happen.
Yep.
It was happening. So
Yeah.
that can be tricky.
I mean, look, you should. There's a celebratory moment where it's like, okay, you meet this milestone, right? But milestones are exactly that. It's a um, you know, it is a reference to having passed a mark. That that's you're not stopping at the mark, you're passing it. Right? Like, oh look, I'm running a marathon and there's the halfway mark, right? Like it's only going to get my time in this run is only going to get shorter from this point moving forward, right? I always will have
Yeah.
less to do than what I've already done, right? I don't know. Do you play these mind games when you do things that are hard like that too? When I work out, it's very much the same. It's like, if I do 1/5 of it, I'm like, oh, I only have to do 4 more times of what I just did, or a third of the way. I only have to do 2 more times what I already did. Halfway mark, just one more, right? 3/4 mark. I could do. I fractionalize and marginalize the difficulty of the work. Yeah,
Yeah. I do that if I'm running
yeah,
because
I could see
running
that.
sucks.
Yeah,
For some things though, like other gym stuff, like when I go to the gym, it's sort of like I just go until it's done. You
yep,
know, I just know it will end, and I just work. I just go. I don't. I use like a little workout app, which makes doing this easier because I don't have to think about what to do. I just do the next thing on the app.
right.
You know what I'm saying? It tells me to do this much weight, this many reps, this many sets, and I just do that. And when I'm done, I go to the next thing, and eventually I just run out of things to do.
Yeah,
And I know, this goes back to knowing that you're going to be happy when you're done. When I'm done and I'm tired, I feel good. So it's it's um it's hard, can be hard, I think, to do that type of stuff when it comes to diet and exercise when you're far away from where you want to be. I think that can be hard, because you don't see the gains until you've been doing it for a long time. That can
hmm
be hard. And but for me, you know, I just push through that sucker. I know I'm going to feel good too on the backside,
yeah,
backside of it. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. These are like a little efficiency hacks I do. I think the deadline one was a big one for me. You know,
Yeah, 100%. I think I also
here's a good
yeah,
example of that, by the way. You plan a
yeah.
vacation. You have all these things you need to get done before you go, and magically, doesn't matter how big that list is, somehow the day before you go on that vacation, or the day of, if you're not leaving later at night, all gets done before you hop on that plane. Every
Yep.
time, right?
Yeah.
I always joke, if I want to get things done, I need to plan a vacation.
That's right. You got to find some way to do that every day.
Hmm.
I think what people do too is one thing I try to do. This is not a productivity hack. I don't think. Maybe it is. I really try to find like maybe like 3 to 5 things that I really want to get done today. That's it. I think sometimes people's to-do list on a daily basis is too long, and you either get overwhelmed or you're just not sure what to pick, and you end up spinning your wheels a lot or jumping back and forth um, to things.
Right,
But like I know today is my content day. I'm just creating content today. That's my win for the day.
right.
You know, I'll do some other things throughout the day, but I know if I make all my content today, I win.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
that's kind of
No,
something else I
I
try to
think
do.
it's really good. I think it's true. You should our to-do list do get too big, and I always coach people that when you don't have an assistant yet, you are your own assistant, right? And easiest way to determine what you need to do with your assistant is start your day with a gigantic to-do list of all the things you want to get done. And then when you meet in the morning, try to figure out, get creative with how that person can take off 90% of those items, and you're left with the 10 that only you can do.
Yep. Yep. Totally.
Sometimes people do
Totally.
that. They end up having too much free time. They don't know what to do. And then you can say, okay, what's the next thing that would make the biggest difference? Right.
Yep. Yeah.
Or that becomes the beginning of your work-life balance.
For sure.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. Sometimes I'm just not productive. You know, that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
You are, I can tell you this, you are 100x more productive than I am. 100x.
All the balls in the air that I've got going on.
Yeah. The other thing
At
too
my
is
sister's
with,
house last night, I'm like, I am not doing another deal. I got to wrap the stuff I've got going on. I even know what property I would go after if I had the bandwidth, and I'm getting sucked into one, and it's not
yep.
the one that I was thinking of, right?
Yep. See, the
But
thing is, your projects are relatively labor intensive too, though. Like you want to you have to see the property. You know, like
mm,
you have to coordinate with many more people than I do to like get things done. I think
mm,
that makes your stuff a little bit harder. You know, because a lot of my stuff, I'm trying to find things that I can just do over and over and over again without myself.
right,
And then just plug people in and refine the process. So I'm just thinking about like how can we just do this thing that we do better? You know,
right,
I'm trying to learn, you know, like I'm just sitting around reading things like this all day. You
yeah.
know, it's like how can we refine what we're doing better? How can we get better at everything that we're doing? How can we just crush everything more? And you know, my projects just tend to be less hands on, I think, than yours.
So there's truth to it. I actually play from both sides. So an example of that would be if I was too heavily invested in the day-to-day operations of managing our rentals or Airbnbs, I would never be able to manage all the things I'm doing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of intensive hands-on with doing a project of like acquisition review, right? I still delegate a lot of the work, so I'm not necessarily there daily, but
Yep.
we have a system for how we might do 2 check-ins a week, maybe maybe I, maybe it's the both of us for progress, and that is very hands-on. But once the project is done, it shifts into okay, refinance it, and then start writing it in one of the methods, and then it gets sucked into the system that we've created. So it's like I've not systemized the creation of like someone creating restaurants, like a custom restaurant, but then I could streamline the operation of it once it's going. So like I imagine me as a restaurant, owner who is very hands-on on creating every new restaurant and setting up the system. Once it's systemized and operating, it's like the leash of how much I'm attached to it gets reduced heavily.
Yep.
And so I haven't figured out how to systemize the acquisition review of and setting up whatever it is, but that period, there's a start and end to that period, and then there's a management and prolonged management of that asset afterwards that my involvement comes way down.
Yeah. You know what else
That
I was just thinking about?
what's that?
People in real estate just like to talk a lot, like way more than in what I do. Like
Interesting.
everybody's always if they think about something, they call you, they text you. You know, I'm like, you're gonna set a meeting on my calendar. You
Right,
know, and we'll talk to you in a couple a couple days. Whereas
right,
in yours, the people are just being you're just it's just like the nature of the beast because it's you're trying to move fast. You do want decisions to be made and people have questions or whatever. Even in your mortgage business, same. You know, like you're trying to follow up with people and get people to turn stuff in and I don't know, maybe the underwriters come back with something and you got to do some, it's just like
yeah,
a lot more communication flying back and forth, I think,
And there's
with
there's
what with
versions. Obviously, there's versions of law practice that are very much that way. Very much
for
that way.
sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think the entire series of Suits is basically this very
Yeah.
hands-on, you know, um,
Yep. It can be.
litigation-based,
Yep. It can be. Yeah. Well, when you're doing litigation, yeah, your things are happening all the time, and you're not always in charge of the process because you have someone that you're a competitor essentially that you're going against. You have opposition, so they can do things that can make you work.
yeah.
But with
But
what we
some people
do,
love the chess game, right?
for sure, for sure, and you know, I like to play chess, but just with business more so
Hmm.
than with that type of stuff. You
Yeah.
know, I don't like conflict. I'm against it, just
Yeah.
generally. But yeah, so when it comes to productivity, here's the other thing. Here's another thing that I do, which we've talked about a bunch, that really helps me get things done is every I tend to have like an overarching goal that I'm shooting for. So we'll say like with Big Bird Accounting, I would love to have like 100 clients, let's say like by the end of the year. Okay, 100 clients by the end of the year, and then you have to say to yourself, okay, well, how do I get to 100 clients? And then you start backtracking into all of these different things that you need to do, and that kind of sets your to-do list. And the faster you get the things done that are on the list, the faster you make progress.
Hmm.
You know, and you just keep breaking everything down into smaller and smaller steps until you know what you need to do today.
Right.
You know, so it's like, okay, well, I want to have 100 clients. Okay, people need to be able to sign up with us. How are they going to sign up? What's the step to sign up? Well, they need to be able to book a meeting with us. How are they going to do that? Well, we kind of need a website, and we're going to need a way to set a meeting or something.
Hmm.
That's step one, right?
Yep.
And then okay, now we have a website. Well, how are people going to find us? We're probably going to have to reach out to some people, maybe run some ads, or create some content. Okay, that's what we're working on right now. You know,
Right.
and you just as you get do each thing, and then what happens? Oh, you get a client, and you're like, oh shit, okay. Now,
Right.
how do I get them to refer me some business? Well, we got to do a good job for them, so we got to figure that out. And you just keep doing that essentially over and over and over again. And as your business grows, just the things that you're doing, they change a little. You know,
Right. Right.
and that's how you do it. You just keep going. So
Yeah. I I actually have more businesses than I thought I would want to have. I don't regret starting any of them, but the easiest way that I committed to taking on more is there is a sales funnel for every type of business. And it doesn't matter how good of an idea you have, it will take energy, time, and bandwidth to feed that funnel. And
definitely.
so the only reason why I have any business I have is because really it's the the rental portfolio, which is a mixture of regular rentals and furnished rental, Airbnbs and all that, and then you know a production based business, which we have like I said, obviously lending, um, HOA management, development company. Like, well, how do you manage all three? Like the answer is easy. My sales funnel for those other three that are active are the exact same process, same event, same people, same clients, right? It's really just here's three products that we offer you, and I'm going to network to you in the same manner. And when I meet that person, depending on what they might need, I have basically up to three things that could be offered. But
Yep.
it's like maybe you need help with the financing of your project. Maybe the buyers need help with the financing of the project. Maybe you need help with the development process of your project, and then I could do that piece and finance it. And or also when you finish a project, do you want to have professional management with it? And sometimes it's all three, but I'm really just doing the exact same thing for all three. And if I
Yep.
didn't, and if it wasn't vertically aligned and makes sense, then I wouldn't touch it. So I've been resistant I'm resistant to starting a lot of businesses because I understand that funnel, and creating more funnels is not easy to do. We still have to create systems for how we manage those leads and push them through the process, right?
Yeah. You're yes. You're sort of bolting on things to what you're already doing.
Yeah.
which is nice. It can be dangerous though. I think you'll hear this from people all the time. If you're gonna if you have two options, spend more time on your current business that's working or start a new business, you should pretty much focus on your business that's working all the time.
Yeah. I
You
do
know, it's
agree with
only
that.
yeah, it's only when you have enough time. But think, you've been working on your mortgage business for a long time.
There's that,
Many
but the
many
other part
years.
of it is that the mortgage business was only going to generate my active working stream, right? The investments were necessary to grow my net worth and my retirement plan, and by nature, those projects would need to be sold eventually. And just wasn't an HOA management company to manage mine, and so that
Right.
that problem had to be solved.
Yeah. But
So
even the property investment though is sort of born out of you having enough time away from the mortgage company to
that's
be able
correct.
to do it. You
Yep,
know.
and a focus to grow. It's a business that would grow more wealth than faster initial income, right?
Yep.
And I had one avenue that created a lot of high active income, but I needed to learn to be a great investor so I could get great returns from the money I was making. And so the other one became a necessity of that. And then a lot of business were necessary. Here's a perfect good example of that. I had to create my own property management company to service my own properties, right?
Yep.
Right now, we have zero plans offering that service to other people at the moment. Now, my plans might change in the future, but I understand that if the business was designed to service my needs and there's a function for it, then it can exist, even though I might be the only customer for it. But it's a whole different world to open that up to everyone else,
Yes.
right?
For sure.
And how much work that takes and ongoing maintenance and so forth. And so, who knows? Maybe that will grow in the future, but maybe not. And if it never did, and if it only managed mine, I'd be fine with that. You know,
Yeah. Property management. Bleh. That's what I think about it.
HOA management is very similar in the same bleh.
Yeah.
But here's the difference. I found a lot of companies that do a pretty good job with traditional property management,
Yeah.
right? And I actually use them. So some of my properties are not under my own property management, right? But a lot of my projects just scream they should be furnished rentals, right? You don't rent a 450 square foot cabin on a
Right.
lake as a regular rental for $1,300 a month when you can make 3 times that as an Airbnb, even as a
Yep.
midterm, 2 times that. It just doesn't make sense. But the minute I go down that path of we should do this, it makes too much sense not to. Um, then you run down the path like, is anyone doing it the way that we actually want it to be done? And if that doesn't exist, it's like then you keep hitting your head against the wall trying to find something that just you wish you had and didn't exist.
Yep.
And that's very hard, right? That's very hard.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all the HOA is also what's nice about it is it's less labor intensive in some ways. Like you don't need as much manpower to pull off that type of a thing versus a
Hmm.
property management company where you have to have boots on the ground. You
Yeah.
know, those different things I think make businesses exponentially harder.
Hmm.
What's great about what I do, it's almost all virtual, right? You can basically do everything virtual, uh, and that just makes everything simpler because you don't have
Hmm.
travel time. You don't have a lot of people to deal with. So
Yep. Yep.
yeah, no, no property management company. I thought about doing a cleaning company for a while, like a house cleaning company.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. It's hard. You have to deal with to spend a lot of your time. Somebody's going to spend a lot of their time dealing with personnel.
Employees.
You know, people not showing up, people doing stupid things, finding new people if you want to expand. It's hard. You
Yeah.
know,
It is hard.
very hard.
Yeah.
So
I thought about it too. Like the more
it's a
furnished rentals I
good.
have,
Mm-hmm,
it might end up being just I don't have a cleaning company. It could just be that I have cleaners,
mm-hmm.
staff cleaners, right?
Yep.
We'll see. I don't know. But I'm careful of taking on those extra tasks. You have to be careful of the things. Good ideas does not mean that it should be something that you run with. If you're a good entrepreneur, you'll have a good business idea all the time. You have to think carefully about which ones you're going to be best at. That's where that
Yep.
ikigai comes in, right?
Yeah.
has to be something you're good at, something you love doing, and is very profitable and the world needs. You need all four of them.
Yeah. Here's the other thing too to consider, not you, but just anybody, the three people that are listening is is some of those things you don't have to make. You can buy. Like I
Hmm.
looked at buying a cleaning company because there are established cleaning companies that have like management in place, processes and procedures for hiring and firing and finding new people, and they already have things that in place that you can just sort of step into and then add in whatever you would want to do as well. Because what there are not a lot of is like short-term rental cleaning companies.
That's right.
You know, they do most of the cleaning companies just do regular houses. They do them twice a month or whatever. They know on every other Wednesday at 12 o'clock they're going to be at 123 Main Street. They just know this. It's harder to say, look, we have a tenant leaving today. We have a tenant leaving on Thursday. That's going to be there for 4 days. So then we're going to need you back on Tuesday. That's harder,
Right.
to do. So but it's hard to execute as well.
Yep.
You know, There's a reason why a lot of them don't exist because it is a hard thing to do. You know.
Right. Right.
So, yep. Cool,
Yep.
cool.
Yeah. So with all that in mind, what are some businesses? Yeah, I talked about the bookkeeping business, but is there any other ones that are on your maybe one day
That I would buy the things
or
that the
own?
type of yeah the or yeah I mean I would probably not start any new ones after this. I would consider acquiring more accounting businesses. You know, once this is like really humming along and just kind of plug in some of those things. But I would, I don't care if things are sexy or not, but like laundromats and car washes are for some reason like quite appealing to me.
Hmm.
There's a car wash here in Kirkland that is it's one of the ones where there's a crew, that vacuums your car and like really cleans it really good when you're done. They wipe it down and they like clean the inside. Man, that thing is just packed all the time.
Interesting.
You know, like every day, all day, that thing is packed. And car washes and laundromats, the thing that sucks about them is there's mechanical part to the business. So like shit breaks and you got to fix it. But you know, I think those things would be kind of fun. And I'm also like the idea of getting into businesses where customer service is not great and then making it great. You know, that's I mean that's not why I got into law, but that's one of the things that I like about what we do is that we can really enhance the client experience as much as possible. Same with the bookkeeping business. Accountants and they suck at client service for the most part,
Hmm.
and I want to I want to give people a great experience. So you could do fun things with the car wash and with the laundromat that are kind of unexpected and fun.
Yeah.
What about you? What about you? Don't no more real estate. Let's throw away real estate. Okay, just
I
for
don't got
fun.
one. I don't got one. Okay. So, well, I have a dreamy one. I know you said no real estate, but I'm gonna just throw this one out there so you can hear it. I am there's gonna be a point where I'm gonna have this intimate experience of going through like developments, right? And I might make a company that specifically acquires, develops either in joint development with existing owners or in contract and sells them to project like to builders. I might start that. So I'm throwing that out there, right? That
Hmm.
it's not a right now, but I will have what I envision is something that would do very well in the future, and all the pieces are already around it. The There's one business idea that is totally non-real estate related that I think that'd be a lot of fun to do. So it's birthed from this group of friends of mine who we all did relatively elaborate um, proposals to our spouses.
Yes, we have
Um,
talked about this.
yeah, my friend
You and
Bill.
I think off
Yeah,
the air. I think off
yeah,
the air.
my friend Bill, Mike, and Nick and I um, have all did. relatively, um, grandiose proposals, um, and um, and people, guys usually aren't the best when it comes to this kind of stuff, right?
For sure.
And
By the way, relatively grandiose proposal is like the understatement of the year. You guys
this,
went all out on some
yeah,
on your stuff, you know.
like, yeah, but we think we could take it even further, right? Me and Bill have
You
talked about
definitely
it,
could. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like we're
Hmm.
like, I told him, so we could make this like a real business, and he said it could be like that movie, The Game. Have you seen The Game with Michael
Yeah.
Douglas,
Yeah.
right? Um,
Yes.
and really push it up, right? But you know, uh, creating an experience that creating an experience that is just memorable, never forgotten, um, is something that is just, it doesn't exist, right?
Yeah.
As a business, be focused on guys, right? I think that if I were to guess how the pricing for this would probably work, is that the people doing this would probably have to budget at least about $25,000 to do it.
Yeah.
Like, I understand there's a market for underneath that price point, but if we're doing it right, that's like the starting price. And if you can't afford
Yeah.
that, not a client.
But you have like helicopters and actors involved and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, you could really push it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could really push it up. It's like, that's why I say 25 starting. Yeah, you
Uh
wouldn't get actors and helicopters at 25 grand, but you would.
huh.
Um, but there would still be probably some travel. There would still be a handful of things that would go in place, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's, making an entire event that could take one whole day all the way to, because look how much people spend on the wedding, right?
Yeah.
And that's a 1 day event, right? Um, and everyone wants that to be a memorable event. But what I've learned about weddings is that weddings, the proposal is more about the couple, and the wedding is more about the guests.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't, you envision it being for you, but at the end of the day, uh, you're hosting.
Yep.
And so if you're hosting, you're worried. If you're worried, your mind goes towards making sure things go perfect,
Yeah.
right? And look, if you're the guy putting on the proposal, you have that as part of it, but the only person you're hosting is your future spouse, right?
Right.
So speaking of grandiose proposals, was that proposal at that Matt Rife show real? I think, was it real? I can't.
I think it was real, but
So
I'm not
the
sure because
detour. We went to we went saw Matt Rife at the Paramount. Was it just last Saturday?
yeah, no, it was two
Yeah,
Saturdays ago, 2 weeks ago.
2 Saturdays ago. Okay. Um, and yeah, it's there's a guy in the front who, I can't remember how the whole thing went down, but basically,
This is why I'm not sure because Matt he was doing crowd work and he called the guy out
yeah,
and basically asked him questions about whether or not he was going to marry this girl.
yeah.
So maybe like
But
this
then he
guy
did
was
propose right on the spot, but he didn't have a ring, right?
yeah because he was like, "What are you guys ever going to get married or what?" Because they had been dating for a little while or something. I can't
Yeah,
remember exactly how it went down,
yeah,
but you know, for that to happen in that way, yeah, he did not have a ring, which makes it seem maybe a little spontaneous, but he could have reached out to like Matt or his team, and said like, "Look, I'm in the front row. I'd
yeah.
love to do a proposal. Can you just like work us in to your show?"
Right.
And he did that, but he
But
didn't
there's no ring.
there was no ring. So maybe he just got like guilted into it or like pressured into it while he was there, you know.
Guess we'll never know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but that would be cool. Like, that would be something that you guys could do, right? Where you
I
would
mean,
be in
that wouldn't be
charge
that
of
wouldn't.
reaching
I
out.
mean, my thought is that wouldn't be quite enough. I know for a lot of people that's enough, but that wouldn't be.
Well, you could take it to the next level, but
Mm,
it's like that would be something though that would be if you had an idea like that, you could have like a base package where you could like, hey, we'll get you at the stadium and you could we know because here you go, this is just me systematizing everything.
yeah.
But you could just have contacts at all of these different places, you know.
Right.
And they tell you like, oh, we want to, and you could have your own ways of like dressing it up, you know, and with like maybe you get the whole family in there or something, you know, so they're
Hmm.
like sitting one section over and they can run over and celebrate with you or whatever. Um, but yeah, I know this is like first grade proposals that we're talking about here.
Yeah, yeah.
But people would still hire you. I think people would still hire you to do something like that
Hmm. Yeah, I think there's a market for it. Like
for sure.
there, look, it may only appeal to like the top 1%, but
Yeah,
to
that's
me,
enough.
this would be a business. This business would be maybe a top half of 1% or top 10, 1/10 of 1%. Who knows? But what I do know is this: is that it doesn't exist that I've heard of.
Right.
You know, and it'd be one of those businesses that you would it would never uh, you'd really have to be you'd really have to knock it out of the park so that way people heard about it and would kind of pick up steam. You know,
Yeah,
I
this
think
is
I think
back
they're a
to
lot of
marketing
fun.
and sales. You just have to
Mhm.
go. You know, there are very, very high end, like wedding, fairs. You know what I'm talking about? Like,
Mhm.
fair is not the right word, but where like where all of the wedding people are all together, and you can walk around and like get your flowers and your whatever all together.
Yeah.
Probably would start there. You just need to get one person for like a
It could
bridal
be, but
show.
that tends to be I'm already thinking about it, and no one thinks about it until the question gets
Oh yeah,
asked.
that's right. You're right.
So I would think it'd be more like
You're right.
anyone who's been shopping for rings
There you
online,
go.
and then you get
Yep.
ad space. It's like, hey, are you thinking about proposing? Well,
Yeah.
right. Hmm. That's how I picture that would probably go.
You could do a deal. Here's what you could do. You could do a deal with jewelry companies where after they purchase the ring, then they'd like sell you the information or or something where you can then
Hey, there's
reach
no
out to
RESPA
those.
violation in jewelry world, right? They could
Yeah.
refer us, and we could literally do a kickback to them for the referral.
Yes. A
Hmm.
100%.
Yeah, that'd
Yeah.
be brilliant.
That would
There we
be
go.
pretty sick.
Yeah.
Boom. Off to the races. Let's go.
Yeah. Who's gonna run with my idea? Because I ain't doing it right now. If I do
Nobody.
this, it's not gonna be
Nobody.
for at least I think 6, 7 years.
Yep. By the time that happens, you'll be too tired. You'll be like, I ain't doing that shit. It's too much work.
I don't know about that.
Just a
I don't know
one
about
off.
that.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
You'll have something else you're going to do, I'm sure.
maybe. But that idea has been floating
That's a good
for
idea.
over 10 years.
Hmm.
Over 10 years I've been thinking about that since we all kind of I mean, look, we're all still married, so obviously maybe it
Yep.
helps, right?
Yeah.
Right now we
Probably.
said we're our own customers. We have 100% no divorce rate.
Yep. Yep. I just did some cheesy New Year's proposal for my first marriage.
Yeah.
That didn't work.
Yeah.
We can be on the commercial together. Successful marriage, not successful marriage. What do you want?
Oh,
What do
jeez,
you
I'm sure
want?
your ex would love that.
All was the proposal. It all was the proposal.
Yeah. Yeah.
What you guys could do though is when you have some free time, instead of it doesn't this wouldn't have to be like a big huge business. It could be a thing where you just do like one couple at a time. You know,
Because I'm
where
talking
one
about
you can
think
just
of
do
that
it for
movie.
you just
Think
yeah
about the movie, The Game, right?
yeah yeah.
Like,
You just do it for fun. Obviously you make a little bit of money, but that way the time commitment's not huge, and everything you have to do is not huge, and you get to still have a lot of fun, like in the process.
right,
You know.
right, right. No, um, it's really important to me to have businesses that I enjoy doing, and
Yeah.
that if there's parts I don't enjoy, but I understand it's part of the recipe of the entire, you know, if it's just ingredient to the recipe, I'm okay doing it. I think the property management part of it, it's like I can tell you I don't like it. I can also tell you that HOA management, property management, are the two least fun parts of having investment properties and also having Airbnbs or developments. But like the joy of all the other elements of it so far exceed that aspect of it. And when I wrap the whole thing into a package, how do I feel about this whole business that is from front to back, includes all those pieces? 100%, not an issue, and
Yeah.
and I'm fine with it. You
Yeah.
know, it's just
Yeah.
like
Well, it's not all going to be sunshine and rainbows.
yeah, it's
You
like
know,
parenthood and marriage, right?
it's some work involved.
Yeah, yeah. There's parts of it that aren't perfect. As a whole, it's better than not, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
Hmm.
100%.
Kind of like our Washington weather, right? Like today that we get this crummy rain, right? But then I've been to places that are flat and brown, right?
Yeah, for
And
sure.
like we take our beauty for granted here. We got rivers, lakes, trees, and all
Definitely.
that beautiful stuff. And it's like, hey, that don't happen without the rain,
Yep.
right? Like without rain, you don't have all that. So,
Yep.
you know, um, you know, you know, I don't want to. People get themselves really attached to the weather, you know, and I feel like if the weather is an ingredient to the recipe of our landscape, then what's the issue, right? So what
Yeah.
about you? So what would be another business for you? You asked me for one.
Like I said, I like to do boring things that are already established. Um, because I'm not very. I like my ideas to come from like how do we get new clients and how do we just make things better versus I want to do some new thing that has not been invented yet. But man, I don't know. Like literally laundromats, car washes,
Least
I would
least
do.
failure businesses, right? It's funny that you want laundromats, but you're so against my coin operated laundry idea.
I'm not against it
It's like
necessarily.
miniature laundromats at your own multifamilies.
I know. I just don't think it's the best way to do it. I'd rather just serve a bunch of people all at once.
Hmm.
You know, I would do, you know what I would do? This would not be like a money making opportunity, but I think it would be cool to have like a bar, you know, like a little pub, where you just make like, there would be like four things on the menu and they would be just good, 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 you know,
Hmm.
and kind of like a little cheersy type of place where people come in, they have a good time. It's like pretty relaxed atmosphere,
Yeah,
good food, good drinks, you know. I think that would be fun to do.
yeah, yeah.
Would make a lot of money, but
Food's off my menu. Done it.
I know you've done the food. I know
Yeah,
you guys have done that. That's hard.
yeah. It is hard.
It's a hard
Turnover,
business.
margins,
Hmm.
expensive rent, right? Increasing minimum wages.
For
Hmm.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, but that's why I'm like, well, look, I wouldn't be really trying to do this to make a lot of money. It would just be for fun, you know.
yeah.
It'd be cool if you did make some money, but that really wouldn't be the point necessarily.
I feel like taking our furnished rentals to a higher level, right? A really high level. I
Yeah,
feel like gives me that same feeling, but still having an operational bandwidth to grow. I
yeah,
think that Airbnbs are a regular landlord's nightmare because it is a business. But
yeah,
Airbnbs are an entrepreneur's dream because what entrepreneurs dream of is a business that still requires creativity, passion, client experience, doing
for
something
sure.
unique, but systemizing it so that you get out of the day to day and getting to a point where it runs itself mostly without your assistance and it only pulls you in once in a while, which is what most entrepreneurs hope for,
Yeah,
right? It's just enough connection that you definitely feel like the business owner, but enough delegation that for sure gives you bandwidth to run multiple of them. If you, it fills that cup that most people look for when it comes to being an entrepreneur, right?
yep,
And
totally.
so, I like that part of it. I feel like everyone has its own business, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing better than getting a good review of your service where someone says, the experience was easy and they thought it was going to be hard,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
like
The
that
new
feels
build,
good.
the new build accessory dwelling unit I built in Kirkland was built to be an Airbnb, right? And we've seen what it could do as regular rent. We put on the market to see what someone would buy for it. Now with like closing out another project, I actually am not going to probably be selling it anymore. Like we're just going to let the listing expire, and we're just going to
Yep.
open up the calendar, and it by far reviews the best out of all of our properties because it was literally
Yeah.
conceptualized from the ground up. What I really also like is that is going to Airbnb and looking at these new categories they have of properties, and it sets a new benchmark for what a great property could be. You know what I mean? So we spend all
Yeah.
this time, trying to create a guest experience. And that's why when people talk about, oh, look, Airbnb is dropping, it's a crashing market, blah, 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 outside of the regulation aspect of it, I think is happening to Airbnb is the same thing that happens to any business. It's kind of like when cannabis first became legal in the US, in Washington. Oh,
Yeah.
there's so much opportunity. It's going to, whatever. Yes, there's for sure a market for it. But once the market gets established, you will still have to deal with all the normal things all business owners have to do, which you have to have competitive value propositions,
Right.
marketing, price, quality of product. Like you still have to create an experience that says location. You still need all these things that go into being a good business owner. And technically, every one of your rentals and Airbnbs has an aspect to it,
Yep.
right? And so
Yeah.
when I see, for instance, that a revenue of one of my units is doing less year over year, I don't think about how it's a failing, declining business and regulations and too much competition and all that. I think, oh, here we are, just like every other business that's ever existed. Mine has to come over the top of what other people's experiences are. So there's no question that mine is a desirable option, right? And
Yep.
that I love that part of it. I don't want to make money running something extremely mediocre because it's easy and there's just a lot of demand, right?
Right.
I
Yeah.
want to exceed at something that requires passion, thought, systems, that who wants to be great at something everyone else can do? I just don't understand the thought process behind that.
Yeah. I agree 100%.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure. Okay.
Perfect.
Cool. I think we had a good stopping place. I think
Yeah, I
it's
think so.
12:05.
I think so.
Okay. Cool.
Maybe I'll be more inspired to shift to my work and retirement sooner, so we could start that proposal business sooner.
Yeah.
That'd be
Yeah.
that'd
That
be
would be
fun.
fun. It
Yeah,
would be fun. That
yeah,
would be cool. We got to get some guests on here
yeah.
sometime.
I
Now that
have
we're
a
doing
handful
it
of people that I want
virtual,
to get some guests on. Yeah, I,
now that we're
I,
doing it
I,
virtual, every once in a while, so it could be easier to get people on. I think.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And I got a long list of people who said they would. I just have to organize it. So add
Cool.
to my
Because I'm
list
getting
today.
tired. I'm getting tired of just talking to you. You know what I'm saying? Tired of it. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. All right. Okay, cool. Let's wrap it up. All right, that was good.
Yes.
Productivity hacks, amongst many other things. Once again, if you like this podcast, if you like this episode, you can like it, share it, whatever. If you need accounting help and you're a small business owner, go to bigbird.accounting.com and talk to me.
Yep. And if you want to get rich owning real estate and you don't have a business plan on how to do it, shoot me a call.
Where, call, where, website. You got to give the
Yeah.
actual thing.
KeenLoans.com.
There
Yep.
we go.
Yep.
Keenloans.com. All right, cool. All
Yep.
right, that is it for today. I am Chris.
I'm Keen.
This is the Business Barbershop Podcast. See ya.
See you guys later.